Coming up, you're going to hear a conversation with Sam Serban, just I don't know, beautiful human being. I don't know what else to say. She's spunky. She's from Romania. She's got a lot to say and a lot to share. So I hope you enjoy this one. And thank you, InterraWorks, a wonderful company. I say it all the time. They're based in Austin and Nashville. They have a great app coming out to help everyone have their best year yet. And yes, that's what it's called, Best Year Yet. If you haven't found it yet, please look it up. You'll love it. You'll enjoy it. And back to InterraWorks is relative to leadership development and team building, alignment, accountability, everything you're looking for in a leadership development company, interraworks.com. Hello, everyone. This is Greg Hayden for another episode of Servant Leadership Podcast, and I have a very special guest for us today. Her name is Sam Serban. Did I say that right?
You said it almost right, but I'm very glad that you gave it such a great try.
Sam Serban.
There you go. Thank you so much.
See, that wasn't so hard. And before we go any further, what is the CSSBB next to your name? I've never seen that in all my years in hospitality.
I am Six Sigma Black Belt certified.
Okay, so that mean you're badass in the alley, or what? What does that mean?
I don't know. I guess a little bit of badass when it comes to process and identifying process gaps.
Okay.
Coming up with innovative solutions. However, I want to preface that I have obtained that certification in a year of growth, and maybe tears came with it because it's not easy to get it. So I self-challenged myself to get it because it was at the time a little bit out of my comfort zone.
Yeah. When we spoke before this, you struck me as a person that is all about growth, all about challenge. And I would just guess that everything you've accomplished hasn't come easy to you. So start wherever you want. People are going to pull up your LinkedIn after they're watching this or during their watching of this and find out all about you, Sam. But take us back as long as you like and share your journey with us.
Thank you so much. It's such a simple question if you think of it, but it has so much depth to it because it's not only about who we are on paper, but it's also who we are as people, right? And I am a true believer that what shapes us into the version that we are today, even if that's a leadership version or a human version, it all comes from our outbringing, and either the baggage that we take with us or the baggage that we choose to let behind. And sometimes it's a combination of both. So to answer your question, I am originally from Romania. I came to the United States in early 2000s. I think I am a great example of what opportunities and access would give to someone who grew up in a communist country where those were barely existing or none at the time. And I remember my first promotion. I was working as a front desk associate at Treasure Island, and I got tapped on the shoulder to be a supervisor in training. And I asked the question, why, right? Like, why me? And they were like, you're just doing a really great job. And that was a concept that it was so hard for me to understand, that I'm getting promoted and making more money for just doing what everybody else was doing, right? In my mind. Because that was not a concept that we had in Romania. It was nothing that I grew up with. So to fast forward my story, I lived and worked in Las Vegas for about over 10 years. I started in luxury hotels. I was one of the hotel managers at the Bellagio. Prior to that, in my career with MGM, I worked front desk, VIP services, and then front desk operations. obviously back of the office, front of the office operations. Got tapped on the shoulder by a timeshare company where I was the general manager, and then I managed multi-sites. And then I randomly got tapped on the shoulder for a director of operational training. And I went to that interview absolutely selling myself out of the job.
Hmm.
Because I always believe that there are so many other people that are talented and they know so much more in that space. And again, I had that maybe imposter syndrome, right? Like, why me? Why do you think that I can do this job? And it was interesting because as I was going through the interview process, one of the senior VPs of HR at the time said, Sam, you have to stop to try so hard to convince us that you're not that person for the role.
You
Yes.
said you said tapped on the shoulder 3 times, and I'll just tell you, in all the years I've been interviewing people, I've never heard that phrase, and I believe it's awesome because you're just walking along doing your job, you being Sam or you being anyone, just walking along doing your job, doing it well, not looking back to see, wow, who's wondering how wonderful I am. I'm just doing my job. You're a very humble human being. You probably have been told that many times. And then someone taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, Sam, do you have a minute? Sure. What's going on? We'd like to suggest that you do something else. Or they tap you on the shoulder from another job because they've heard all about you. They may not even be in your organization. And I just hope you recognize, Sam, how wonderful that is and how cool that is. And you say it with so much humility instead of bragging about how many times people wanted to hire you. And it's just refreshing.
Thank you. I struggle with that. I'm going to be honest with you because, although I left fairly young, this is the conversation about the baggage that you take and the baggage that you leave behind, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna give you an example, right? When I got promoted to hotel manager at the Bellagio, I called my parents on Skype at the time, video, and again, right? I got tapped on the shoulder for that role, and I was blown away, but also scared, right? It was such an amazing opportunity, but it was so big. Bellagio at the time was the only five-star, five-diamond hotel on the strip in Las Vegas. We had over 10,000 associates overall in the hotel, and I was managing just the front desk operations. I think it was 42, if I remember correctly, check-in, check-out windows and about 180 people, right? So
Wow.
massive, just a massive opportunity. And I remember I called my parents on Skype and I was like, they probably saw that I was a little bit scared and very excited. And I told them, I was like, I can't believe this is happening to me, right? Like I am excited and scared. But what I knew in my head is that I'm not going to fail. Like my thought process was, this is probably going to be a learning curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
I work long hours and I need to get out of my comfort zone, but scared because I knew the responsibility of working with people and shaping others and helping others while you were in the process of shaping yourself as a leader, because I was fairly young at that time. And my mom said something like, since you left, we tried to instill in you like work ethic and hard work, and it just seems that you can't hold on to a job. Why can't you hold on to a job, right? Because
Yeah.
both of my parents had 30 years, right? Like 30 plus years working for the same company in the same role. And here I was, right? Like 5, 6 years into being in the United States, and I grew from front desk reception to VAP services to front desk operations to hotel manager, right? Like the concept of promotion,
Yeah.
I couldn't explain it to them, right? And it was hard for me to understand at the time.
Sure.
And the title was not something that I was at the time as conscious of. It was more the responsibility and the weight of the role that I was concerned about.
Yeah, Mom, I'd like to stay in the same job, but people keep asking me if they'd take a bigger job and go somewhere else. And um, you said shaping others. That's probably something that not a lot of people focus on today, and especially in this wonderful country. There's a lot of me, see me, notice me, I, and leadership, as you know, I'm sure deep down in your heart, isn't about you. It starts with you, but it is about shaping and leading, serving others. And when I tell people that, sometimes they look at me with a really interesting look, because why would I serve them? I'm a boss. I'm a supervisor. No, you're a leader. If you want to be, you can show up for them, and that's really all you have to do sometimes. But or be there when they're having a hard day. All right. After that, what was your next phase?
After my timeshare experience, I worked for a company that was a third party vendor supporting large brand name hotels.
Okay.
And then, throughout my career, I supported resort operations first, or just I started in hotel operations, then resort operations, back office, front office. I expanded my career into sales and marketing, and then call centers and mortgage. I agree with what you said at the beginning. I lead with curiosity. I'm always very much interested in the entire customer journey, because I don't believe in optimizing in isolation, right?
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you have to partner and collaborate with your business partners, build strong relationships, and you can never do that by yourself. You have to have an amazing team, and having an amazing team starts with respect,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
respect earned. So, I think I'm a true believer in developing people. I have a proven track of that throughout my career. But again, a huge chunk of that comes from the beginning of my leadership, when others believed in me and gave me an opportunity. Granted, I could have failed, right? Um,
Sure.
and oftentimes I give options to opportunities, not options, to people. And then I genuinely give them the tools and resources to succeed, and I am their biggest fan. But at the end of the day, it's in their hands what they're going to do with that opportunity, right?
Amen.
But because somebody gave me an opportunity early in my career, I will forever pay it forward, because I know the rewarding feeling of being seen and recognized, and then the ability to turn around and lift others, right?
Yeah. You just said another thing. There's a beautiful book out there. It's called The Art of Alignment. Patty Beach wrote it, and I coach with this acronym all the time. And she believes in our world of leadership, our world of relationships, that every human being really wants or needs five things. They want to be seen. That's the S. By the way, the acronym is SHUVA. And so the S is seen, the H is heard, the U is understood, the V is valued, and then the A is appreciated. And it's a beautiful leadership tool. And yes, we all want to be seen, and we all want to be valued and appreciated. And regardless of what order you put the words in, when I share that acronym with you, what's the first thing that came into your head?
When I was younger, I wanted to be seen, right? I think it was a combination of coming from a different culture, trying to integrate yourself into a new culture with very little tools and resources, right? Internet was not as big. We had no Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, right? Like, it was more learning from others and just kind of listening to seek to understand.
There wasn't as much noise back then either.
Yes.
There wasn't this little 3x4 thing that controls our life, and binging and dinging, and wow, Instagram thinks I'm wonderful and Facebook doesn't. And Sam, back then life was simpler. Now, I'm not saying it was better. It was just simpler. And, for those listening, some of them are going to go, what's Skype? They're going to have to look that up.
God, yes,
But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt.
fine. Google it, please.
Yeah.
But
Google.
as I continue to grow in my career, I think being heard is something that is important because as you grow in your career, you have more and more confidence in your voice.
Yeah.
First, you have to find it, and then you have to make space for it. And then you have to understand that being communication without comprehension is just chaos, right?
Yeah.
And I think as a leader, you have to go through all of the phases until you understand what being heard really means. And for
Yeah.
me, it's more listening, resonating, receiving feedback, creating a safe space where you can provide feedback. But I would say I'm probably in the face of being heard because I recognize the power of my voice now. Not
Sure.
that I didn't have one before, it was on me, right? Like I didn't value my voice as much as maybe I do now, but it also comes with time.
It also, yes, it comes with timing, Sam, but it also comes with wisdom and experience and knowledge. And you clearly bring that to every place that you've been. And for those listening, pardon the pun, being heard is a beautiful thing, but it also requires you to listen to others, especially when you ask a question. Pause and just give your heart a chance to sink in and wait for what it is the person that you just asked the question of to answer. And again, we're in this hurry up, I need it yesterday thing. And sometimes that's okay. There are urgent circumstances, there are fires and stuff, but for the most part, the reason we want to be heard so much is because we believe in our heart that we have something valuable to say.
I think we all go through all sorts of phases, right? And there are moments when I look back, either throughout my career or my life, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I became a different version of myself. And it came with a lot of shedding, which is not comfortable. So I can say that I've always been a great listener. And again, I'm going to take you back. Growing up where I did, we didn't have a voice. So then you discover this freedom of expressing yourself, which can be misunderstood at the beginning because I
Mm.
just wanted to hear myself because I could hear myself,
Yeah.
right? And it's hard to explain it to people because, we were two cultures colliding. And I think I've learned a lot through my career through self-reflection and also through feedback, right? Either if I asked for it or I didn't, I've learned in time to ask for feedback either from my team or from other people because it's so valuable.
Yeah.
And it adds so much to your leadership toolkit. But going back to your question, Greg, I think there are leaders that, don't take the time to listen. And maybe some of them is just a lack of maturity or wisdom in this space. But I also think that part of it is just the expectations we have right now in the workplace, right? Exactly what you said. I need it yesterday. You know, how long until I get it? Friday is too late. Can we get
Yeah.
2 hours, right? Maybe as a leader, you turn around and you're like, I really need this. And you fail to talk about the why and the impact of the work that that's going to have.
Bingo.
And I don't think that it's always intentional, right? Like,
Mm-mm.
I don't think that it's only always intentional of like, I don't want to tell you the why about it. I just think that we're moving so fast and we're losing some pieces that we need to lose. But at the same time, I fear sometimes that we're losing some pieces that are important for us as humans, not even as leaders.
Yeah, we're losing trust. We're losing. I want to follow you. We're losing respect, and it's something that is hard to get back once if you haven't slowed down to build it. And there's this phrase. It's beautiful. It just says you got to slow down to speed up.
Yes.
And you've got to figure out what's around the corner. And if you take it too fast, then you're going to crash. And if you crash, then you've wasted a whole lot of time. So fast is good when it's absolutely necessary, but a nice steady pace when everyone's on the same page. Dare I say alignment? Alignment's one of my favorite words. When we're all aligned, we all can see and feel and understand where we're going. I was always the kid that was trying to make people laugh in the dugout or in the classroom. And I'm not sure how I ended up being a leadership coach, but I just have fun. And dare I say, I love what I do. And I love being a dad. That's probably my number one thing in the world is being a dad. I've learned more about leadership from parenting. Sam's not with us anymore, but Brooks going forward. It's just been a blast. It's a gift. Hey, real quick before I get sappy on you, can you share with us a couple human beings names that were important to you? You don't have to name the organization or anything, but if there was someone in your life that at some point really helped you either grow or get over a hump or save yourself from making a mistake, just someone that was valuable to you as you went through some of these organizations.
I would say my first friend that I ever made, her name is Rebecca. And she is an amazing leader, and we continue to be friends. I think it's been more than 20 years. It kind of goes into the same bucket with Skype, right?
Yeah.
But I think she has been the first one who has really seen me and heard me outside of just being a work colleague.
Sure.
The other person that had a huge influence on my career, her name is Amy, which is the first leader that has hired me within the timeshare industry.
Okay.
Twice. She
must have been doing something right.
For me. She's a very open and transparent leader. And I remember transitioning from working at the Bellagio into timeshare, where we were converting building into a timeshare resort.
Sure.
I showed up on high heels with, a suit on, and there was construction all over the place. And I looked at her and I was like, "Hey, where we're gonna grab lunch?" And she was like, "Oh, there's a taco truck coming at 12 for the construction workers, so that's where we're gonna get lunch, right?" And it was one of those moments where I was like, what have I done?
Yeah.
Have I made the right decision? But she sold me on the role because she was like, "Listen, if you join our company, you'll be able to do it all from scratch." And I wanted the work. Nice. I wanted to organize job fairs. I wanted to hire maintenance and housekeeping and manage retail and be involved with sales and marketing, which I was and I wasn't as much in my previous role. So what I heard through the interview wasn't the chaos, it was the knowledge, right? But it was a rude awakening for me at the time, because I came to United States and my first job was with Treasure Island, and I worked for Bellagio. So in my mind, that was what the United States was all about, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever I saw in Vegas and whatever I saw at the luxury hotels that I was working at. And now I just discovered the brand new world. And I was with that company for almost 10 years and I loved every second of it. I've learned so much, but I had to get my hands dirty, right? And I had to learn everything from the bottom. And I have no regrets now. I can easily relate to someone that makes beds every day I know how
Amen.
hard it is and how hard those mattresses are. um, and I can easily relate to an executive at the corporate office, but I can only do that because I went through the journey.
Yeah. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Rebecca. And it's, yeah, you can get your hands dirty even in high heels.
Oh, I was holding on for them for about 3 months and they kept getting shorter and shorter until I realized that I have to buy some sneakers.
Yeah.
But,
You,
or
you,
at least until the construction was over. But I had so much fun.
and you don't strike me as someone who's north of 5'7", unless I'm misreading you.
Oh, I am pretty short. I'm 5'2".
All right. Well, 5'2" is great. My stepmom's 5'2". Anyway, is there anybody that just pissed you off and you just couldn't get over why they were badgering you all the time? But then at the end of that relationship, you look back now and say, thank goodness for them for pushing me and not just making it easy. Do you have anybody in that category?
Um, I think I'm gonna give you like a two-part answer if I can.
Yeah.
One, I go through life thinking that everything happens for a reason. Like I've always thought that because there's this power of stillness that I mentioned earlier. When you take a moment and stop and you look back and you're able to connect the dots, you understand that it was meant to be that way, right?
Yeah.
However, I went through a period of my life where I got a role and I had no support through the onboarding process. It was kind of like drinking out of a fire hose. And I made it, but I promised myself to never do that to anybody else, right?
Mm.
Because it was hard. I had to knock on doors and I had to ask, you know, maybe silly questions because I
Sure.
know certain things. In my heart, I knew that I would ask that thing only once because after that, I'm gonna know that thing and I'm gonna be able to build on it. But it was hard. Now looking back, I was on this leadership panel and somebody asked me, who's your greatest mentor? And here is what I'm gonna say. I've learned more from people that gave me a hard time. Not that I haven't learned from people that have supported and loved me, but when I look back at what I experienced in certain roles, that shaped who I am today for the better, right?
Mhm.
If I worked for somebody that wasn't a great communicator or wasn't a great listener, I always told myself, don't do that because I know how it feels
Yeah.
not to be seen, right? If I work for somebody that maybe was not as thoughtful in the onboarding process, right, and giving you the tools and resources to be successful, I was like, okay, I have to do a better job, right? Because I know how it feels to just be thrown in a job with no support, no partnership, no collaboration, no open doors. But doing the work myself, right? Like
Yeah.
going to that door, knocking on the door, asking the questions. I think it helped me be vulnerable,
Hmm.
learn that side of me instead of
Yeah.
always being like the tough one that knows everything, right? So there's a lot of, I just look at it as learning.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
oftentimes, I ask my team always after a project goes really, really well or not so well, because, it happens. I
Hmm.
always tell them, no matter how it went, what did you love most about this? Because then we need to do more of that, right?
Right.
And what could we have done better? Because then let's write it down and not do that again, right? Or
Mm.
try to avoid it as much as we can. So I don't necessarily have a huge dislike for certain people. I just look at them as lessons and I have a gratitude for turning me into the version of myself that I'm today.
Yeah.
I wish it was easier. Don't get me wrong, right? Like I wish like I had things served on a silver platter without the hard work. But I also don't think that I would be who I am today.
No, I guarantee you, you wouldn't be. And I love what you said about you don't want to do that again. You don't want to repeat how you were treated, period. However, comma, there was also a part of you that was appreciating that they gave you this opportunity and you had to figure it out by yourself. And this person or them, depending how many there has been in your life, Sam, they might have done it on purpose. We
Maybe.
we we trust her. She's going to figure it out. She's tough, blah, blah, blah. Or they could have just sucked as a manager or boss and didn't really know how to lead. And that's okay too. But what I took away from it, and I hope our listeners do, is when you're bringing someone into your family or into a new role, you've got to know there's some fear and trepidation. There's uncertainty at least. So why don't we take more time to make them feel comfortable and set them up for success? And now the answer might be, well, no one told me, no one babied me, no one led me. So I'm going to do the same thing to Sam. Now that I don't know. So people listening will just recognize that you had some great influencers and you had some okay influencers is kind of what I'm taking away.
Yeah. And you know, that's one of the things that and dislike is such a strong word, but I'm going to use it. When people say, or I hear them, or I overhear it, right? When they say, well, I didn't have it this easy. Why should they? Right. And leadership is not about repeating old patterns,
Oh,
right?
wait. Say that again, please. Please.
Leadership is not about repeating old patterns, right? Leadership is about growing and learning and elevating and raising up in order for you to raise others, right? So
Have you read my website by chance? No, I'm
no,
kidding.
I'm
I'm
so
kidding. And it's fun. No, it's because elevating human beings is one of my favorite things. But I want to say, relative to leadership, yes. And the most important role we'll ever play, if given the opportunity, is parenting. And if you didn't have good parents, why, for the love of God, would you continue to parent like you were parented? It just makes no sense. But yet, it's happening, Sam, as we speak. My dad was a blank. My mom was this. So I'm going to be, and okay, I turned out okay, says you, and you can justify it. But why not learn and behave differently so your kids can even be more successful than you are? Or maybe they don't want their kids to be more successful. Anyway, love what you said, and I'm glad you said it twice.
well, going back to the baggage you take and the baggage you leave, right? I
Mm-hmm.
recently had a conversation with someone and said, you know, I just had this new leader that started working for me, and she already started asking me, she's been in the role for a year, for more money. And I said, okay, well, we were just having a chat over coffee, and I said, what is the problem with that, right? Like, is she capable? Has she proven herself? Has she delivered results?
Sure.
Is she ready, right? And she was like, yeah, but just asking the question after 1 year, like, isn't that too soon? And
Mm.
I asked her back and I said, can you imagine where you or I would have been if we would have asked some of the questions earlier in our career? And I
Amen.
don't know, Greg, if that would have changed the trajectory of my career and now I would have been a CEO somewhere, right? But I never asked the questions. It wasn't part of who we were as a generation at the time. And why not learn from each other instead of pointing fingers at each other?
Why weren't we asking better questions back then? Because we weren't allowed to ask questions or talk much, maybe as kids. Don't know. Our first boss made very clear that you're to do the job and not ask questions. Possible, or we just don't. We've never really trained that muscle.
Yeah.
And the worst thing you can get from asking a question is none of your business, or this doesn't concern you, or this isn't the right time. Thank you for the question, but all that follows. That's great. Keep the questions coming, but I'm not going to answer that one. Let's let's wrap this up with something that you would really like to share with the audience. And again, it might be a younger version of you. It might be a younger version of someone that you love and admire. But just what would you say to someone out there in their mid-20s and they're just getting their boots on the ground, so to speak? What would you say relative to relationships, leadership, finding success, whatever topic you want to make it?
Can I say two things?
Please.
One, don't be afraid to build your own lane. Just because the road is not paved yet, it doesn't mean that is not going to take you somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Because that oftentimes I see young leaders keep doing the same thing that they see other people doing around them. And we need more trailblazers. And it's a risk, right?
Sure.
And I don't think it's only young leaders. I just think it's leaders in general, right? Like we have to be braver
Great point.
to just create our own lane. And talking about bravery, I would say be brave in your journey, but start with self-accountability.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. You gonna write a book someday?
Who knows? Maybe. I mean, after almost 14 years of living in Vegas and managing hotels, I think I should at some point.
Oh, there's got to be some chapters worth reading in there. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Sam,
We had a lot of
you were an absolute pleasure to be in front of today, and thank you for making time, and thank you for sharing your heart, your beautiful smile, and your experiences. And I want to say thanks. I appreciate your time.
Oh my God, I appreciate yours. Thank you.
Yeah.
It has been such a pleasure being here, and you're a beautiful human being, Greg, inside and out. So just know that that's why probably people want to speak with you. And I've watched some of your podcasts, and it seems like people are very comfortable and open, and it's thanks to you. I think you also have to recognize that you get a part of us that is human out of this conversation.
Yeah.
Which is what I think it connects us all. So thank you for the work, and thank you for putting all this together. And I'm so honored that you picked me to be part of one of your podcasts.
Yeah. I took a flyer and it worked. No, I just there was something about you, and we connected, and I, my hunches are typically pretty good. I've got good spidey senses, and I'm just a curious little kid in a 63-year-old body. But I like I said, I love what I do. I appreciate your time and attention, and thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you for listening. I really enjoyed my conversation with Sam. You can tell she's a ball of fire. She's got so many areas of her life where she's grown and learned, and shout out to the people that she mentioned. They'll be tagged in the post, but Rebecca and Amy for being there for her, helping her grow into a better leader. As she said there at the end, don't be afraid to build your own lane, and be brave. But be brave and accountable. I just love those two remarks there towards the end. She was helpful with me talking about the acronym that I love so much from Patty Beach, and that's SHUVA: to be seen, to be heard, to understood, and to be valued and appreciated. And she also said, ask for feedback, ask how you're doing. And if you're with a good leader, not a manager or boss, he, she, they will probably tell you. So ask more questions and be curious. And that's kind of what her superpower is. And again, thank you, TerraWorks, for being behind me and being my sponsor and believing in me. And to what's coming out from in TerraWorks is an app that's going to change your world. The best year yet app. If you don't have it, find it. If you haven't found it yet, let me know, and I'll let you know how to get to it. See you soon.